The Three Feathers. There was once a king who had 3 sons. The 2 eldest were clever and confident. They spoke quickly, judged easily, and believed strongly in their own abilities. The youngest was different. He was gentle, slow to speak, and often overlooked. When others spoke of him at all, they called him simple. The king had grown old, and it was time to decide who should inherit the kingdom. He did not wish to choose unfairly, nor did he trust words alone. So he decided to test his sons. Calling them before him, the king explained his plan. He would throw 3 feathers into the air. Each son was to follow the feather that fell nearest to him. Wherever it landed, he was to go, and there he would find the task he must complete. The first task was this: each son must bring back the finest carpet he could find. The king stepped outside and threw the feathers. The first feather flew straight ahead and landed a short distance away. The second feather drifted to the side and settled nearby. The third feather, belonging to the youngest son, barely moved at all. It fell almost at his feet. The 2 elder sons laughed. "Look," they said, "even the wind cannot carry his feather." But the youngest son did not answer. He looked down at the feather, then at the place where it had fallen. There, in the ground, was a small opening. He knelt and looked inside. A narrow passage led downward, dim but passable. Trusting what he saw, the youngest son followed his feather and went in. The passage led him to a quiet chamber beneath the earth. In the centre sat a large toad, calm and watchful. The youngest son greeted her politely and explained his task. The toad listened, then nodded. She led him to a room where fine carpets were laid out, not loud or dazzling, but carefully made, with patterns that felt balanced and whole. She gave him one and wished him well. Meanwhile, the 2 elder sons travelled far and wide. They sought merchants and workshops, choosing carpets that were bright and impressive. Each was certain his choice would please the king. When all 3 returned, the king examined the carpets. The elder son's carpets were handsome, but when the king touched the youngest son's carpet, he paused. It was softer, better woven, and made to last. Without comment, the king set it aside. Then he gave them a second task. Each son must bring back the most beautiful ring. Again, the feathers were thrown. Again, the youngest son's feather fell almost where it had before. Again, he followed it into the ground. The toad greeted him as before. When he explained the task, she nodded and led him to a small chest. Inside were rings. Simple in appearance, but finely made, each detail carefully considered. She gave him one. The elder sons, meanwhile, spent lavishly, choosing rings set with large stones and bright metals. When the king examined the rings, he saw at once that the youngest son's ring, though modest, was crafted with greater care and balance. Still, he did not yet speak. Then the king gave them a third and final task. Each son was to bring home the most beautiful woman he could find. The elder sons set off at once, confident that this task would favour them. They sought beauty that could be seen at a glance, choosing companions who looked impressive beside them. The youngest son once again followed his feather. He went down into the quiet place beneath the earth and explained the task to the toad. This time, the toad did not answer immediately. Then she clapped her hands. From the shadows stepped a woman whose beauty was not sharp or showy, but calm and steady. Her presence filled the space without effort. The toad gave her a simple instruction, and together they returned to the surface. When the sons stood once more before the king, the difference was clear. The women brought by the elder sons were well dressed but restless. They shifted and glanced about, uncertain. The woman who stood beside the youngest son was composed. She moved with ease and spoke gently when addressed. The king watched them all for a long moment. Then he spoke. He declared the youngest son his heir. The elder sons protested, but the king raised his hand. It is not cleverness alone that rules a kingdom, he said, nor display. It is care, patience, and the ability to follow what is quietly right. And so the youngest son became king. He ruled steadily and well, never hurried, never careless, and those who once called him simple learned, in time, to understand the difference between noise and wisdom.